introducing a new formula, 60-40. As I speak to you, the question that you may be asking, how are you going to do that? Let me tell you. Section 3 of the PPPFA provides that the National Minister of Finance may exempt an institution from the provision of that legislation if it is in the public interest. It is our view that the proposals that we are putting forward that makes us to dispense with the national legislation fall within that category because we believe it is in the public interest. That is 60-40 preference point system for acquisition of goods and services to replace 90-10. It is proposed that 40 points be made up of 10 points BEE and 30 points for provincial preference points. So this policy will introduce for the first time what we call provincial preference points. That table outlines those provincial preference points. That table outlines the proposed scoring system for the provincial preference criteria, which is calculated at a total of 30 points. We say for locality, we'll allocate 10 points, for disability 3 points, for youth 7 points, for women 3 points, and for military veterans 2 points. All that we're trying to do is to ensure that we promote small businesses and cooperatives. All provincial departments and provincial public entities must spend at least and allocate. They must spend and allocate at least 50% of their procurement budget on SMMEs and cooperatives. In one meeting recently, we were dealing with these issues of how to effect the radical economic transformation in the country. We asked certain departments to give us the statistics in terms of their procurement budget spent and how, in terms of race, we have done as a province. In the Department of Transport, they presented statistics that indicated that the larger portion of the Department of Transport in the last financial year went to companies that are owned by people who come from Indian communities. Now, if you take that into account and you look at the demographics of the country, then something is wrong. You can't have 90+% of people of the population in the province and have 2 to 3% population of the province, but find that when it comes to the beneficiation in terms of public procurement, those who constitute 2 to 5% are the ones that benefit more than the ones that constitute 90%. It is something that cannot be accepted. The second category of companies that benefited from Department of Transport procurement spend are the companies that are owned by people who come from white communities. And companies that are owned by African blacks were on the last. It can't be normal. It can't be normal. I asked when I was in Dundee, when I was presenting these regulations, and one gentleman who come from a white community protested openly in the meeting, and he disrupted the meeting. He said, Now, he was complaining because of these set aside provisions. And I said, no man, let's appeal to your conscience. Please, just give me a second to ask you a question. You're protesting because you think there's something wrong. Let me ask you a question. We are here in Dundee. This is a town. How many businesses, formal businesses in this town are owned by African black people? He said, nothing. But there are businesses that are owned by Indians. And I said, that's precisely what we want to address. And he cooled it down. All the towns, you can go to Newcastle, you can go to Dundee, you can go to all the towns that we have in our province. You would be lucky to find one formal business that is run by African black colleagues. It cannot be right. What we're doing as a state is that we can't influence the private sector, but we are going to use our power as government and use our resources to at least do something to address that situation. This policy seeks to do precisely that. We do know that the issue of funding is a problem for African business people. We are introducing a system also as a result of the resolution of procurement in Durban, wherein there will be institutions, what we call DFIs, that will help us to fund those African black people that might want to get into certain businesses but having problems with the issue of funds. And at times you find that they get contracts, but they are unable to execute those contracts efficiently simply because they don't have the financial resources. We are introducing the cessation of income, wherein once you get a contract, these institutions, one of them will be Tala. They will provide you with the necessary funding, and then you will make arrangement that for a certain period of time while you are executing that contract, there will be a cessation of income with a certain arrangement that will be suitable to both parties. What we're saying there is that where suppliers who have been awarded contracts can identify and negotiate procurement of suppliers to be used as input resources in the execution of public contract, provincial departments and public entities may make direct payments to suppliers of the input resources and deduct payment from purchase order or commitment of awarded contracts. We cannot ignore the fact that the problem of lack of skills in black communities is a serious one. We are saying we need to introduce an effective supplier performance development program across the province. I even said in one meeting of officials, I said, you will not be allowed to disqualify or to cancel a contract of an African black person purely on the basis that they can't perform without showing us that you have a program that you've put in place and you have put them through that program and they failed. I want to add to that, it's another problem that we're having, CITB levels. We're having a problem that where companies have of CITB levels that are higher, 5, 6, 7. When there are contracts that are advertised, but the requirements is that you must be having a CITB level 1 or 2. The companies with the CITB levels that are higher still compete with those small companies. Now, this policy is going to stop that. We're not going to allow that, so that we allow small and emerging firms to compete amongst themselves. We are introducing electronic procurement tool which will automate all SCM processes in the province. As we've said, That tool is in advanced stage of development. We've already started piloting it, and we are still proceeding with the finalization of that system. Colleagues, let me say this. When we introduce these measures of ensuring radical economic transformation, we are not saying we are no longer going to look at the value for money or service delivery. The requirement for functionality is still going to be important. And I must say that yesterday I was sitting with the Accountant General of this province, and he was showing me figures of irregular expenditure in the province. It's shocking. We cannot allow that. We also want to make sure that as we put in place these measures, we don't relax measures of ensuring that there is no corruption. What we're going to introduce as part of this policy, which we'll see soon. But all of these things, as I'm saying, we're still waiting for National Treasury to make final approval on those issues that I've highlighted. What we're introducing is what we call probity auditing. All SM processes will be subject to probity auditing. We have an SCM panel of experts in the province. We will appoint auditors from those panels for all contracts of a certain value in the province, above a certain threshold.